Chosen one, what I'm about to share with you will change your life forever. If you're hearing these words right now, it is not by accident. God has led you here for a reason. Deep down, you already know this. You have always felt different, as if there was something about you that set you apart. Maybe you couldn't quite explain it, but you knew you were not like the others. And because of that, life hasn't always been easy. You've been tested in ways most people wouldn't understand. You've faced hardships that made you question everything, your path, your purpose, even God's plan for your life. There have been nights when you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, whispering prayers into the darkness, wondering if He was even listening. God, why is this so hard? Why do I keep struggling? Why does it feel like I'm always climbing but never reaching the top? You've seen others succeed effortlessly while you've had to fight for every inch. You've given, you've sacrificed, you've poured yourself into everything you do, yet somehow, it never seemed to be enough. And in those quiet moments, when no one else was watching, you might have wondered, have I been forgotten? Have I been left behind? But listen to me carefully, because this is the truth that will set you free. You were never forgotten. You were never left behind. You were being prepared. Every delay, every disappointment, every moment of struggle was never meant to break you, it was meant to shape you. Because what is coming next in your life requires a strength that only hardship could build. And now, finally, the time has come. From this moment forward, struggling is no longer your duty. Worrying about your finances is no longer your burden to carry. Because now, God is taking over. The weight that has been pressing on your shoulders is being lifted. The financial uncertainty that has kept you up at night is coming to an end. The abundance you have prayed for, the breakthrough you have been waiting for, it is already on its way to you. And those who doubted you, those who whispered behind your back, those who dismissed you because of what they thought you lacked, soon, they will witness what God has been doing all along. Because He is about to reveal His favor upon your life in ways that no one can deny. He is making you a living testimony. Your struggles were seen by all, and now, so will be your blessings. And this is only the beginning. But before we go deeper, I want you to do something simple. If something inside you is stirring right now, if these words feel like confirmation of what you've already sensed in your spirit, then take a deep breath and just acknowledge it. Let this moment sink in. Let yourself feel it. You are here for a reason. This message was meant for you. And if it resonates, let it be known. A simple action, done in faith, can be powerful. So as an act of agreement, tap the like button, not for me, but as a sign that you are stepping into what God has prepared for you. If you feel called to, join this community by subscribing. Stay connected, because what comes next will equip you with everything you need to walk fully in divine abundance. And here's something even more powerful. In the comments, declare the number 999. This number carries divine significance. It represents completion, the closing of one chapter and the opening of another. It is a signal, a declaration that you are stepping into something new. There is power in what we declare. So if you feel this truth in your spirit, type 999 below. You may not fully understand why yet, but by the time this message is complete, you will. And when you do, everything will start to make sense. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, it's never enough? You push yourself to the limit, doing everything you can, yet somehow, you're always just barely getting by. You pour your heart and energy into your work, your responsibilities, your dreams, but no matter what you do, it never seems to be enough to bring the security and peace you long for. You watch others succeed with ease while you struggle for every step forward. And deep down, you wonder, why is my path so difficult? Why does it feel like life is a constant battle just to survive? There have been nights when you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, running numbers in your head, trying to figure out how to make ends meet. The weight of financial stress sits heavy on your shoulders, the fear of not having enough lingers in the back of your mind. You've done everything you were told to do, worked hard, stayed faithful, kept pushing forward, yet the struggle never seems to end. And in the quiet, when no one else is around, you found yourself asking, God, do you see me? Do you hear me? Have you forgotten me? But let me tell you something, God sees you. He has always seen you. Every sleepless night, every tear, every moment you felt like giving up, He was there. And He has never forgotten His promises to you. The world has conditioned us to believe that survival depends entirely on our effort, that if we want security, we have to fight for it endlessly. But that was never God's plan for you. He never intended for you to live in a constant state of stress, worrying about how you will provide for yourself or your family. In Matthew 6 verse 26, Jesus reminds us, "Look at the birds of the air, they do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? If God takes care of the birds, creatures that neither labor nor worry, how much more will He take care of you? So why are you carrying a burden that God never intended for you to bear? Why are you allowing fear and anxiety to dictate your life when He has already promised to provide? You were never meant to live in a state of constant struggle. You were not created just to survive. And if you've ever had a moment when provision came just in time, when an unexpected blessing showed up just when you needed it most, then you've already seen evidence of God's faithfulness. But too often, we live as if we have to chase provision instead of trusting that it is already ours. We exhaust ourselves trying to control every outcome, believing that our financial security is in our hands when, in reality, it has always been in His. Maybe right now, you're thinking, but I have responsibilities. I have real needs. I can't just sit back and wait for God to fix everything. And you're right, faith is not passive. But faith does require a shift in mindset. It requires you to stop striving in fear and start moving in confidence, knowing that as a child of God, abundance is already assigned to you. That's not easy to believe when you've spent your whole life struggling. When all you've known is hardship, it's hard to accept that things can be different. But stay with me, because what I'm about to share will shift your entire perspective. Before we go deeper, take a moment to reflect on what you're feeling right now. If this message is stirring something inside you, it's not random. This is confirmation. This is God reminding you that He has a plan for your life, a plan that does not include endless struggle. If this resonates with you, take a step of faith. Acknowledge it in your heart. Let it sink in. And if you feel led, engage with this message in a meaningful way. If you believe that God is speaking to you right now, take a moment to show that you receive this truth. Interact with this message, not just as a routine action, but as a declaration that you are ready for change. And if you want to stay connected to what God is revealing, be sure to subscribe, because there is more to come that will equip you to walk in the abundance He has prepared for you. One more thing, leave a comment with the number 99. This number is not just a symbol. It represents the end of struggle, the closing of one chapter and the beginning of another. It is a declaration that you are stepping into something new, even if you don't fully understand it yet. By the time this message is complete, you will. And when that happens, everything will start to make sense. Because God did not create you just to survive, He chose you to thrive. And what comes next will show you exactly why your story is about to change forever. Have you ever felt like you don't quite fit in? Like there's something different about you, something that sets you apart from the rest? Maybe you've noticed it since you were young, how your thoughts, your vision, your very way of seeing the world has always been unlike those around you. You've tried to blend in, to follow the same path as others, but somehow, life never let you settle into the ordinary. And deep inside, you've always felt like you were meant for something more, something greater. Let me tell you the truth, you are different because you are chosen. You were never meant to live an average life. You were never meant to follow the same path as everyone else. The reason your journey has been filled with obstacles, tests, and challenges is because God has set you apart. He has been preparing you for something far greater than you could ever imagine. Your struggles were not a sign of rejection, they were a sign of selection. Look at the story of Joseph. A young man who had a divine vision of greatness, yet his journey was anything but easy. He was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and left in prison for years. Anyone looking at his life from the outside would have thought he was cursed. But what they didn't see was that God was orchestrating something bigger. Every setback was a setup. Every betrayal was part of a divine plan. Every hardship was a preparation for the abundance that was coming. And when the time was right, Joseph didn't just survive, he ruled. He went from the lowest point of his life to being second in command over all of Egypt. Now, let me ask you, have you ever felt like you were going through battles that others didn't have to fight? Have you ever wondered why your journey has been so much harder than those around you? Maybe you've watched others take shortcuts, cut corners, or follow the easy road while you have had to endure setback after setback. But here's what you must understand: God does not prepare ordinary people for extraordinary things. He sets apart his chosen ones. In Deuteronomy 8 verse 18, God reminds us, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." Your abundance is not something you have to chase, it is something God has already ordained for you. The problem is, many people never step into it because they let doubt, fear, and the weight of their struggles convince them that they are unworthy. But what if the very struggles you faced were proof that you were chosen for something bigger? You see, Joseph didn't receive his blessing until he was ready to handle it. God didn't place him in power when he was a boy full of dreams, He placed him in power when he was a man who had been tested, refined, and prepared. And the same is true for you. Your life has not been random. The obstacles, the battles, the moments when you felt alone and misunderstood, they were all part of the process. Because when God blesses you, it won't be temporary. When He elevates you, no one will be able to take it away. When He prospers you, it will be undeniable. But the question is, are you ready to embrace it? Are you ready to stop questioning why you're different and start owning the fact that you are set apart? Are you ready to step into the life God has been preparing for you all along? If you have ever felt that deep, unshakable feeling that your life is meant for something greater, I want you to declare it right now. Comment, "I am chosen," below. Say it, type it, declare it out loud, because there is power in what you speak. And when you acknowledge that you are chosen, you activate the abundance that is already meant for you. This is your moment. This is your time. Your struggles were never meant to break you, they were meant to prepare you for what is coming next. And if you stay with me, I will show you exactly why your journey is about to take a turn into something greater than you ever expected. For so long, you've believed that your financial security depends entirely on you. That if you don't work hard enough, hustle enough, plan enough, you'll be left behind. You've carried the weight of providing for yourself, of making things happen, of figuring everything out on your own. And maybe that mindset came from experience, because life has taught you that nothing comes easy, that if you want something, you have to fight for it. But what if I told you that was never God's design for you? What if I told you that from this moment forward, your financial well-being is no longer your responsibility, but His? God never intended for you to live under the constant stress of making ends meet. He never meant for you to spend your days consumed by worry, always questioning if there will be enough. That is not the life of someone who is chosen. That is not the inheritance of a child of God. You were never meant to bear the burden of your own provision, because God has already promised to provide. In 2 Corinthians 9 verse 8, the word says, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." Did you catch that? In all things, at all times. That means you are not supposed to live in cycles of financial stress. You are not meant to live paycheck to paycheck, scraping by, wondering if you will have enough. God has already set aside more than enough for you. Your wealth is not dependent on how hard you struggle, it is dependent on the one who has called you. But here's the truth, You cannot step into divine abundance while still holding on to fear. You cannot say you trust God to provide while still allowing worry to control your decisions. Faith and fear cannot coexist. So today, you have a choice to make. Are you ready to release the weight of financial stress? Are you ready to stop treating money like it's something you have to fight for, and instead, receive it as something that has already been assigned to you by God? Because make no mistake, prosperity is your inheritance. Wealth is a tool that God places in the hands of His chosen ones, not just to bless them but so they can be a blessing to others. Look at Abraham, Solomon, Joseph. Every single one of them was blessed with abundance, and their wealth became a testimony of God's faithfulness. And now, He is calling you to the same level of divine provision. But the question is, will you trust Him? Will you finally stop carrying a burden that was never meant for you? Will you step into the life that God has already prepared for you? If your answer is yes, then I want you to say it. Declare it in the comments, I trust God to provide. Speak it, type it, proclaim it, because when you align your words with God's promises, you activate something in the supernatural. This is the moment where you must decide, will you keep living in worry, trying to control your own future? Or will you finally surrender, release the fear, and step fully into the abundance that has been waiting for you all along? As you've listened to this message, something inside you has stirred, a realization, a shift, a deep knowing that this is not just another moment, but a divine appointment. You now understand that your struggles were never meant to define you. They were never meant to break you. They were part of God's preparation, shaping you for something greater. And now, you stand at the threshold of that promise. The lesson is clear, you were never meant to carry the burden of provision alone. God has already declared that He is your provider. From this moment forward, financial worry no longer belongs to you. The fear of lack, the stress of making ends meet, these things have no power over you anymore. Because God has stepped in, and when He takes over, there is no lack, only overflow. But understanding this truth is not enough. You must act on it. Faith is not just belief, it is movement. You must now align your mindset, your words, and your actions with the truth that has been revealed to you today. Release the fear. Stop speaking words of doubt. Stop letting worry dictate your decisions. Every time anxiety creeps in, remind yourself of Psalm 23 verse 1, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing." Say it out loud. Meditate on it. Make it the foundation of your faith. Walk in gratitude. Begin to thank God now for what He is already doing. Even before you see it fully manifest, live in expectation. Speak as if the abundance has already arrived, because in the spiritual realm, it has. Take a step of faith and declare it publicly. If this message has spoken to your spirit, if you know deep down that this truth is for you, declare it by commenting "Amen" as a sign that you are stepping into your season of abundance. This is not just a word, it is a commitment, a spiritual agreement with God's promises for your life. Share the blessing. If this message has touched your heart, if it has confirmed what you already sensed in your spirit, share it with someone who needs to hear it. There are so many people still living in fear, still believing that struggle is their destiny. You can be the one to help set them free. Stay connected to what God is doing. The journey does not end here. There is still more to learn, more to receive, more to grow into. Subscribe now so that you don't miss what's coming next, because God is not finished with you yet. I want to take a moment to speak to you personally. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for opening your heart to this message. Thank you for trusting, for believing, for taking this journey of faith with us. You are not alone in this. You are part of something greater, a community of believers who are stepping into God's plan together. Know this, you are loved. You are seen. You are chosen. And as you move forward from this moment, may you walk with confidence, knowing that God's favor is upon you, His provision is before you, and His love surrounds you. I bless you in the name of Jesus, and I pray that as you step into this new season, your life will be filled with an overflow of abundance, joy, and divine breakthroughs. May God's peace be with you. May His blessings chase after you. And may you never forget, you were not created to survive, but to thrive. We'll see you again soon. Until then, keep walking in faith, keep believing, and keep expecting miracles. Your best days are ahead of you. God bless you.